if you see right here, this is a frame spacer, and they will, with that propolis we were talking about, or with wax, they will fuse them together. So in order to be able to pull a frame, I need to break that bond delicately, asking them permission. And then I'll use this hook on my hive tool to hook the corner of one of these frames. Grab a hold of that. Grab another corner of the frame.
Why are you doing
that?
Feel free if you can't see to come on this side.
I will also show
Wow, gosh.
here is a magnificent frame of bees. So does everyone see that capped? Like the cells that look like they're closed up? Oh gosh, and you can see the bee bread. That's pretty rare. You see the colorful pollen in the cells? That orange and the yellow? That's the fermented bee bread.
So they're taking all the pollen and mixing it with their enzymes and saliva and packing them into the cells of the shallow nature, and that'll eventually become.
Can we do another one?
And this right here, this is all capped brood. So that means those will all be hatching
Eventually,
soon.
yeah, they can do a lot of things.
And then
with
if
it
we
where they'll
look
just
in,
eat
do you
it
see
as
the
it
little
is.
white
It's kind of one of
half,
their
they
food
kind of look like
sources.
lolly-polies?
Yeah.
That's
Like a store,
uncapped
it's like
larvae.
if you went to the grocery store and got
So you can
fresh
see
vegetables versus,
their life cycle and
the
phases.
larder packed with
You can see that. Can you see?
Yep.
Let's see
This is a
another.
great example.
Is there a honeycomb?
Right now there isn't honey in here, which is great because this means that they are making babies. They're making more and more ladies. And so we can tell by looking at the cells that these are all female brood. Brood is what the capped cell babies are called. The drone brood, the boys, are larger cells because they're larger bees. Stay back, please, my friend. Can you take a couple steps back? Thank you. So I'm going to, with their permission, see if I can pull another another frame that maybe will give us an example of some honey. Because this is all babies, which is a great sign for us this spring. Because they're making more and more ladies that'll go out and forage. Aren't they incredible? It's really cool. I didn't just pull this one, right? This is a different one. And I want to be really careful when I'm grabbing these out to not squish them. Gosh, and so these girls, they're just producing. As you can see, oh, and here's an example. See over by my left thumb, right in here? Look how pretty. That is the boy comb.
They usually protrude a little bit more, whereas most of the wax will be uniform, and the ones that stick forward and out are
Can you stay back where you are, my bud? Because we want
larger
to. There's
cell
no
size.
honey in this one either.
That's where the bees that are
So
going to be drones are.
over here, you can see the drone brood. And also in this frame, you know how we were talking about queen cells?
Yeah.
This right here is an example.
And they kind of have a
Oh, where it sticks down?
You see it?
Yeah.
That's an example of a hatched queen cell.
Depending on what's going
So
on.
hatched,
Usually
it's
hatched
already,
through,
because
so
the
all
bottom
the
is open, you
babies
see it?
and
Yeah.
and the further
So she either
Yeah,
swarmed,
when you go out further, you'll
or-
get more honey spores and-
Or she got killed.
right here, or she got killed.
So if it's
See
closed,
that one?
if it's closed, she's in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep. And this gap
And
there
would we
is
know
gonna
where the
be
queen
like
is in
more
any of these or
babies.
not?
We
The
would
further you
always
get
look
to a
for her.
wall,
You would.
Typically, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking for
And
her
Like
here.
if she was in there, you'd want to put that back.
A little
huh?
bit of honey
I would put
in
it
the
back, yeah.
corners.
Because
Right
they get more
away.
worked up, right?
Bees are
They
working
would get
so
more
hard,
worked up, and
10
also
weeks
she's
old,
so
the
precious.
babies
Yeah,
where they're
thank you.
feeding them.
Oh, I got it. You don't want to take a
And
chance.
so
We don't
they'll
wanna
go and
mess
get
with
from
her.
the little
Yeah.
corners of the cells.
But
where
do you
they
see how kind
constantly
they are?
maintain
Oh,
the
yeah.
queen.
These girls in particular are
Usually.
really, really gentle.
It doesn't bother them when you put them back and forth back there.
I mean, it's for sure not their
and
favorite
they try
thing,
to
but
always
it's
have
something
lots
that
and lots of
is
bees around her,
okay for
making
them.
sure that she's
And right
fed,
now, because
clean,
it's early
and
spring,
gets everything she needs.
they don't
So
have a
there are
ton
lot
of extra
bees
honey
just
because
tending
they're
straight to
eating
her.
it and spending a lot of time trying to develop new bees for the coming months of the pollen. Pretty soon the dandelion will come into bloom. Okay, here's a great example. See all of those?
Oh, look at that on the back.
Absolutely.
Do you see all of these larger?
Yes.
When you see
Those are all the
everything
drone
comes down. And in
So
the
those are
winter,
what the boys
half
look
of the
like.
colony
And then
is
up
not.
in this teeny little
By
corner
nature-
here
by nature,
is
they
the
won't
start
produce
of
as
some
many.
honey
And
stores.
then
There's something on the other side that's white.
Yeah, that is unfortunately they
they'll
fused,
naturally
that's
just
the
thin
larva.
out the hive
So they
and eat the honey
fused
stores
their
that forage through the winter. That's
comb
not locked
to the
before
other
imagine
frame,
that snowy
and I
area.
broke a couple of those cells.
They only leave the hive in the winter.
Still no
to
honey.
Yeah, there's a
defecate.
teeny little bit of honey, but they're eating so much of it. And some of these frames, we don't put a wax foundation. You can see that there's a hole through it. And we can put these in and they will just build their
They'll
comb
actually
right
just-
into it.
Yeah. And
Build
they'll just
another comb,
cluster
said
is
that?
what it's called.
Where
So
the hole-
inside
Where the
the
hole
hive,
is.
the outside frames
That
are
looks
barely
like it's
even
another
used, and they'll
hatched
just be a
queen
ball.
cell. So it seems like these girls are pretty
They'll
prolific.
switch that up, who's on the outside and who's on the inside to maintain.
So how do you
average
harvest the
warmth
honey?
amongst each other.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
What we will do,
And they
and we
beat
would
their
never
wings,
harvest
cool
honey
the
from this
hive
bottom box
from the
because this
front
is kind
or
of their
not.
territory and the
Bring in
queen's
water for,
territory.
like, natural
We would put a
acidity,
second, oh, and you can see she's
moisture contents. They're
licking
very
some.
conscious of creating a sterile.
We
and
will put a
stable
super, a
environment
honey
for the
super on top, and then put a queen excluder so we're sure that she hasn't gone up there and laid any eggs. So then when we harvest that honey, we're not sacrificing the integrity of the colony at all. And again, Spencer and I as beekeepers are very bee forward, so we wouldn't harvest honey unless we knew they had more than enough for themselves. And so now, do you hear the pitch raising a little? They're starting to get a little frustrated with us.
They
So
are.
at that point, and not anything to be alarmed of, just like, okay, thank you, we've been in here, really appreciate you, and now we're gonna go ahead and close it up. And so when we close our hive here, you can just go ahead even though it's not lit.
Yeah, I mean, it'll just kind of give them a little push.
We want to get them out of the way
Yeah,
here
so you don't crush them.
because we
Yeah.
don't want to crush them. Yeah.
And if we do, we're always sorry, but they are just like
Yeah.
a single bee is a cell, like a skin cell on your
course,
body. If
yeah.
you get a cut, you'll
Reproduce
heal.
fast.
Yeah, and they're the same.
And
That
so
was
did
pretty
you
smooth and
did you see
delicate.
how I
Yeah,
slid?
that was nice.
I do it slowly
good
and
that
do a
it's a slider.
slide because then if I
Yeah,
just
don't
slide
have
them
to
off,
leave it all day.
they'll
Set
be
it
fine. They'll
down
just
and
go
then
down to the
you
front
just
versus
have
getting
to
squished.
Take
Do
your
the ones
time.
out of that box always go back to that box?
Yep.
Or can they go
Yep,
out,
nope, they
checking
go
me
in
out.
there.
She's probably
We
looking
could,
for
like say if
water on me
this
she can drink.
queen died
Yeah, just
and they
kinda-
didn't make
they
another
just- they
queen,
send out
we could
scouts
take
and
this
they just,
box
like,
and
check
put it on
everything
top
out,
of another
look
box
around and
with a thin layer
try
of
to understand
newspaper
what's
that
going
would
on. She's
allow
not
their
stinging, you can
pheromones to
see
get to
that
know
she's
each other
not
by the time they were
interested
able
in
to
that.
chew through,
You've got
and
a
then they
bee up on your
refuse, so we
helmet
wouldn't
who's doing
lose
the
all
same
of
thing,
those
just
bees.
checking you out.
But when they're loyal to their queen.
How do they get in
Fix
there?
your
The front where we
No,
were
they don't
watching,
wanna sting at
they
all.
have a front entrance.
They're just communicating.